rectangular exhaust tip. And here you can see how much play or movement in the belt there is with a Garrett G30 660 turbo. Welcome to our NA versus Turbo build-off, where I have chosen this EF Civic hatchback as our NA contestant.
And I have chosen this here for a forced induction turbo contestant, which I think is going to be the better one, of course.
Of course, yes. Peter always wins these competitions.
Turbo, forced induction, come on.
Yeah. It's fitting. You are more of a turbo guy than I am. I am more of a high RPM.
VTEC, I know, you love the VTEC. The VTEC is the greatest thing in the world.
Speaks to my soul.
Forced induction DP, forced induction is the answer. Just look around you.
It's the easy button for power, but it also comes with more complexity, more heat, more technical challenges. And I'm a dum-dum. I just want to throw an NA motor in there, or maybe run the one that's in there and beat up on your turbo car as it melts itself down. So that is the challenge, folks. I think it's going to be really fun. So here it is, guys, a full rundown on our EF Civic. This is a 1991 DX that lived its life in Arizona before it moved to Canada. We actually got this from Brian at Hassport Performance, who very generously offered it to us after he bought it from a friend. And as you can see, it's in very, very good condition. I mean, good luck finding a 4th gen Civic in Canada that is this clean and this rust-free. I mean, Arizona is the ultimate location for non-rusty cars, so we got very lucky to buy this, so thank you, Brian. You're a saint. And overall, it is in really good shape. Like, typically, Arizona cars get really bad paint fade. The paint gets really chalky, and this being a white car will hide some of that, but we can see that it still does have some good gloss in it. So with a cut and polish, I think this car is going to look really good. It's got some imperfections, as you would expect for a car of this vintage. Something went on here where I think there was some kind of bodywork that might have been done not very well. A couple little dents in the roof here. I think something was dropped on it, or maybe they were transporting something with a roof rack on there. But overall, I think the exterior presents very well. You can see it has a front lip on it that doesn't fit perfectly. There's a nice gap here. You can see it's on 99 2000 spec SI, or in Canada SIR wheels, which I think look really good, but obviously we're going to change that up. And really, I mean, other than that, you know, you've got your typical like trim fade. This is normal 1991 car stuff, but overall it's in remarkably good condition. Man, it feels so good to be in here. It's got such a low dash. It's just got such great 90s vibes. I love everything about it, and I've never owned an EF. Had EGs and DCs and EKs, but never an EF, so really excited about this build. And the condition of this interior is actually really, really good. Being an Arizona car, you kind of expect the fabrics to be really sun faded and the dash to be like badly cracked from the heat. And there is a crack here, but that's very typical of EFs, and really the condition of this interior is very good. So I'm guessing this car was probably garaged a lot in Arizona because it's not like heat rotted out. A couple of things worth noting: it does have a 3rd gen Prelude driver's seat, which is actually really comfortable and supportive. However, it's not a good color match, so it would be tempting to like swap another one of these Prelude seats into this side, or find a blue EF seat for this side. So if you're out there and you have one of these two seats in the right color, let us know. We'd certainly be interested in grabbing it from you. And you know, other notable features in here: it is a non-power steering car. It's got the classic Pioneer head unit, and it does have air conditioning, which kind of blows my mind. I don't know if we ever got AC cars up here. I guess we probably did, but a lot of people would have bought these cars without AC in this era. But in Arizona, obviously you would go for the AC, so that's pretty cool to see. It's got some like little weird emergency release badges on here, which I think is a USDM thing for these like weird seat belts that they came with. But you can see sort of like attached to the frame of the door. I don't think we got this style seat belt in Canada. I think this was a USDM regulation thing, but correct me if I'm wrong on that, guys. Otherwise, really nice shape in here. Obviously, 5-speed manual. It's got 3 pedals, as a proper driver's car should. While we're in here, why don't we jump into the glove box and see if we've got anything worth noting. There is an alignment sheet here. Woo! He's done a little bit of a performance alignment on it. The car has been lowered a little bit, and yeah, the alignment looks decent. What else do we have in here? We got like a wheel lock. Doesn't look like we've got anything really exciting in here.
Nothing juicy. ADP,
Nothing juicy.
Brian didn't leave anything
Nothing
for us.
good in here. No incriminating evidence. Looks like there's something under the seat here too, and this is not a prop, everybody. This was legitimately under the seat. It says it's for Fast Brakes, who, full disclosure, were the previous owner of this car to Brian at Hassport. So with apologies to Brian at Fast Brakes, also a Brian, we're opening your mail, buddy. So what we got in
I think
here.
this is a federal crime,
This
DP.
well, luckily we're not in the same country, so we can get away with this. Oh, weird. It's like some kind of a foam, I don't know.
Oh, it's for.
Rectangle.
I was gonna say it's for like gauges and stuff, but that doesn't look like it is.
It's weird.
That,
Yeah,
so.
I don't know what that is.
It's a mystery, DP.
Oh.
It's a mystery.
Resto Tuner. Little package here that says taillight nuts on it. So mystery solved. These are taillight gaskets for this car. So we'll install those. Around back, you can see that Brian left us a nice message in this dirty rear window that he hearts Hondas. And clearly nobody hearts Hondas more than you, Brian, although I do consider myself a close second.
Look at your wiper here. The
Yeah,
paint is
it's completely gone.
here
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
arm. It is
It's like it's
just
been
obliterated.
sandblasted. That is Arizona
That is
sandblasting,
the
probably.
true Arizona test there. So.
Yeah. Lo and behold, under the hood, we do not have VTEC, everybody. We do not have a high RPM ripper. So spoiler alert, this engine is not going to stay in this car. But as you can see, this little old D15 is remarkably clean, as is this whole engine bay. You know, as you would expect with an Arizona car, there is no rust in sight, but it does look like it's been cleaned up quite lovingly. Somebody definitely gave this thing some attention. In fact, you can see that charge harness has been replaced with like an aftermarket one that's done well. You can see it's got this full width rad here with these billet GSP rad brackets. It's got an aftermarket header on it. You know, someone's changed out the plug wires. It did come to us running. However, this cover is off here for the timing belt because it doesn't run anymore, and we've been doing some nosing around, but we'll get back to that later. We will get this thing running by the end of this episode, or at least we're going to try, and we'll show you what we think the problem is. Underneath, you can see this thing is in incredible condition, but it does have this aftermarket header on it, which is pretty ill-fitting, as Pete would say. It's touching on some studs over here, and it's also touching on the fan up there, so much so that they like jammed a heat shield down in there to try to like separate the two, but not a great fitting header. You can see that it has a new or a replacement oil pan on it. It's got replacement front axles in it. The front lower control arms look like they're all original though. You can see there's a little bit of cracking in the bushings, but it's got new tie rods. It's been given a lot of love. It's been well serviced. It's got a OE Honda oil filter on it. You can tell this car came from Honda nerds, PT. The Honda nerds were speaking, and speaking of which, you can see they put in this aftermarket linkage on the shift rods here, which takes all the slop out of it, which it really does do a good job. You can see the rear bushings were replaced too on the shift rods. So, and I mean, look at the floorboard condition. The chassis under here is in amazing shape. There isn't any sign of rust. You can see it's got like the factory undercoating on it, but that is it. And if we keep coming back further, you can see it's got a brand new gas tank in it, which is an amazing thing to have because up here, this gas tank would have been rotted out 10 years ago. Much like the header, this car actually came with an exhaust system on it that was relatively new, but it wasn't very well fitted. It was rattling on the chassis when we did drive it, and what triggered us the most though was this rectangular exhaust tip.
It's like a vacuum cleaner,
which
DP.
it seemed very ill-fitted to the era and design of this car. So we couldn't do it. So it just happened that Tanner from Goki's Garage was up here at Vibrant Performance doing some work on one of their project cars, and he was able to fit this in to build us this custom exhaust system using all of Vibrant's catalog parts. As you can see, Tanner did a really amazing job in a very limited amount of time building out this exhaust system. I love these like nested style bends that he used on the exhaust tips, and I love that he went with like a very simple OEM plus style exhaust tip setup on the car. If you want to see this whole exhaust system get built, as a matter of fact, jump over onto Vibrant Performance YouTube channel and he will walk you through building this whole thing, including offering you a lot of tips and tricks on how to fabricate an exhaust system on your own. He's an amazing fabricator, as you can see. His welding is top notch. So jump on over to Vibrant Performance and see how this is built. Wheels and tires off, you can see we do have some significant brake upgrades, which makes sense since this car did belong to Brian at Fast Brakes before Brian at Hasport got it from him. You can see that he's done a drum to disc rear conversion, which he does actually offer on his website, fastbrakes.com, which is where I got my brakes for Connie Celica, by the way. So this is a 10.25 inch rotor with obviously an OE caliper and performance pads. You can see he also has new emergency brake cables on there, braided stainless steel brake lines. While we're in here, you can see it also has new conies on here with teen or however you say that. There you go. So the car is lowered a little bit, although the ride height on it is actually very gentleman low. It's not crazy low. A couple other things to mention. It has this really cool little like air guide or air deflector down here, which I assume is designed to push cold air to the back of the brakes. So that's pretty neat to see. I don't know if that's a normal EF thing or if that's something that Brian from Fast Brakes added. And it also has this trim on the rear lip that in Canada you always remove because it traps moisture and causes the rear lips to rust out. But in Arizona, they don't have moisture. They don't worry about these kinds of Canadian things. So just as a tradition in this part of the world, I'm gonna remove this. And you can see it is in very good shape under here. It has trapped some dirt and desert-like debris, but we're gonna take it off because we're just paranoid that these things will cause the rears to rust. Something we didn't notice when the car was on the ground is that it's got actually a pretty significant dent here in the lower rocker beneath the passenger side door. So much so that you can see the door was actually rubbing on the top side of the sill here. That rubbed through the paint. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not, but yeah, it's rubbed right through there from this being pushed up. However, it's not creased the metal at all, so I think a PDR guy could probably push that out pretty easily, and that would maybe get us the clearance back here for the door. Maybe we can adjust the door upward a bit too, but if that's the only like major body issue we have on this car, pretty amazing. Up front, you can see Fast Brakes work their magic here as well with this 11-inch setup, also available on their website with a Civic EX caliper on it, which gives you, a million different choices in brake pad compounds and so on. So a very nice upgrade. Safe to say we do not need to make any changes to the brakes. Thank you, Brian at Fast Brakes, for sorting this car out pre-purchase for us. And on the suspension, you know what? We're gonna upgrade it, but only because we want to go a little bit more hardcore and maybe a little bit lower too.
Here it is, guys. My competitor to the EF, a 91 Subaru Justy GL, and it already comes with a boatload of rust mods. My favorite type of mod. This car's already lightened, you can see. Got a beauty of a hole right here, and one starting at the door and the rear. Basically, this car is a Canadian car, and it is the definition of a Canadian car. Very, very rotted. Huge points for the four-spoke rims, DP.
Oh, that's hot.
I love those. Those are totally gangster looking. BBS lug nuts. That was a score. This thing is four-wheel drive, everybody. And we know Subarus have a rich history with four-wheel drive. So I'm gonna be able to, when I put a turbocharger on this thing is gonna be pedal to the metal. It's gonna take off and beat up on that VTEC engine. Let's have a look what's under the hood though. Here it is, everybody. Not an EJ, but a mighty 3-cylinder, 1.2 liters of fury, non-turbocharged from Subaru, making a whopping 66 horsepower. I know you're thinking to yourself, how on earth am I going to put up a challenge with this thing? Well, you know what? This motor is ripe for a turbocharger. You see that car over there, everybody? That is also a 3-cylinder. You see where I'm headed with this?
Oh yeah.
That motor in this chassis?
That'll be easy.
This is going to be a ripper, guys, and it is going to destroy that Civic. I can't wait for it. This car also came with what I think is the most interesting mod here, a PC680 battery. That you're looking at this thinking, wait a second, PC680, if I know my Odyssey batteries, they're usually like half size. Wait a second, what's going on here? Are there two batteries put together in conjunction?
You're gonna need two
in
of
this
these
vehicle?
motors put together, buddy, if you want to hang with my EF.
This thing here is just a plethora of, I don't even know what to say in a sense of like confusion, things going on. Like what is this here? Is this like an engine mount?
It does look like an engine mount.
An engine mount?
Yeah.
Like how? You can see the rust mods do continue on this side, and this thing, when you start it up, man, just listen to it. In gear, let's see. Oh, there it is.
Oh,
listen to this motor, DP. It's gonna be like
motorsports
VTEC has nothing on this thing. Listen to that exhaust rattle back there. Oh yeah. Like this car here, everybody, man, it is going to be a Honda killer, isn't it, DP? It really is.
I can only assume this is a bad joke because I know your fondness for Subaru does not run this deep.
DP,
What's really going on
I wish this was the car we were building, but this would probably put me into a grave trying to make it competitive against the EF. So joke's over, let me show you what I really got. And here it is, my 1993 Honda Civic CX. You guys knew I had to choose a Honda. And this is the better Honda, EG Civic. And really the reason why I chose this car is we wanted something that was very similar to the EF in both weight and size. And as you can see, this car is also a very clean example. This came from one of our fans, Aaron, down in Northern California, and a huge thanks to him for selling us this vehicle. It came with a plethora of parts, a lot of which I'm gonna use on this build. And it also has that Cali low life setup here. I wish we could run our cars this low here in Canada, but you just can't. In California, you can get away with it. And a big thanks to the guys over at Grid Life. Logistically, getting this car back from California was a bit of a pain. The guys at Grid Life actually were down at Laguna Seca. Aaron brought the car to them. They shipped it back to Michigan, where the guys over at Safe Auto picked it up and brought it back and imported it. If you Canadian guys are looking for any vehicles that you're buying in the US to bring them back and have them imported, and kind of have that whole process taken care of, Safe Auto is your go-to. Those guys kind of make this process seamless. And now let's get into the condition of the car. I'm pretty sure it has been repainted. This certainly isn't original paint, but it shows fairly well. This car being a CX, what I really like about it, doesn't have the side molding trim. You can see it's gone, but it does have like the nice black accents with the door handles, the mirrors, like this lower part. It does have a very cool black-white theme going on, and I appreciate the sticker, Aaron. This is really cool. Just a Japanese hot rod, and this is the definition of a Japanese hot rod, at least for me. Back in my high school days, these cars were our little Japanese hot rods that were running around. Jumping inside here, roll-up windows for the win, and goodness, I just noticed something which is really weird and peculiar. There is a spider right here, everybody. And I know California does have poisonous spiders.
Do they? I don't know.
They do.
know.
And I suspect this spider hitched a ride from California, so I will have to dispose of it. We can't release it into the wild here. If you look at the interior, it's really, really clean. And this is a blue interior, DP. White car, blue interior. Your car, white car, blue interior. Is it fate?
We're both winning.
That's right. I'm really blown away by the carpet in this car. As you guys can see, it's like in really, really good shape. Aaron did tell me a bunch of things about this car. I simply don't remember them. Even the floor mats look really, really good. I don't know if this is replacement stuff or not, but it's certainly like in A+ shape in that sense. The seats themselves are also really good. This one, the driver's side, does have a little bit of bolster wear, but I mean, from that perspective, no complaints. This is where you kind of have that struggle with, I think, a lot of cars from southern states, is the plastic on the seatbelts has like really worn out and now is really starting to show its age. See, the glove box is open, and that is unfortunately because during shipping, the customs guy needed to get in here to get it to the paperwork, and in trying to do so, he broke it. So I'm gonna have to fix this, not a big deal. Dash in great shape. Steering wheel, I love this. Aaron had great taste when he modified this car. This is exactly the same steering wheel I would have put on this car. Momo Monte Carlo, beautiful like little blue stitching on it, matches it well. Got an energy hub that drops right in place. This car does have 260,000 miles on it, so a little bit high, but it's a Honda Civic. Nobody really cares. As I said, for me, the big thing is that this car is rust-free and the shell is good, which is huge. As you can see, got a nice hybrid racing shifter in here. And yes, a Spoon Racing air freshener and a Chiba Japan little keychain.
He's truly a JDM dude.
There,
sure.
Yes. So take your guesses, everybody. What is under the hood of a California Civic? You know they have emissions requirements, like inspections. Well, this thing is lacking the VTEC DP, but it is not a single overhead cam, which is a huge relief for me because, truth be told, originally we had the concept of doing a turbo single overhead cam engine, and just basically going down a rabbit hole of like finding a turbo kit for that or any type of like tuning options and all this. There was just not a lot of good viable stuff out there. So this having a B18B OBD1 engine is a big relief for me because this now has a whole host of turbo options. You can see this does have an early valve cover, which I don't necessarily love. I do like the updated B18B ones. I think like OBD, later OBD 1, OBD 2 valve covers. This one just reminds me of like DA Integra. Most notably, this does have a B16A2 gearbox. So out of a Civic, EK Civic SI or the SIR version in Canada, which means it does have shorter gears, open diff, but Aaron did provide me with a limited slip differential that we can drop in there, and we're gonna do that because this thing's gonna make a bunch of power. It's gonna need it. This car, you can see also, isn't like as clean as the Arizona car. It does have like minor surface rust in certain areas, like here and around there. The headlights, I believe, are Euro spec lights. Again, don't quote me on that. And it does have air conditioning, which is really, really nice. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep it doing a turbo setup in this car. My hopes are that I will figure something out to run AC, because it would be really nice to have. And unlike 90% of people that build these things and put an eBay turbo kit on here that's ill-fitting, like ill-performing, I am going the proper route with a brand new Artec manifold for the B series with a Garrett G30 660 turbo. This thing I think is going to be good for around 250 to 270 at the wheels with a completely stock engine, and that is the goal here. This will obviously make a ton more power. However, this being a stock block, we're gonna have to limit the power down, but still at 250 wheel, I think this thing is gonna be an absolute ripper. That does mean though, with this kit, there is going to be a bunch of custom fabrication needed to be done. Intercooler pipes, downpipe, all that stuff. So it's gonna be a bit of work, but I'm gonna do it right. We're gonna put a proper standalone ECU into this thing. My man Aaron knew what was gonna happen because he has installed a Moroso oil pan. And guess what that Moroso oil pan has, everybody? A bung for a turbo oil return line. This is a big bonus for me because now I don't have to source a new oil pan. We're just gonna be able to tap that oil line there. And otherwise you can see there's a leak of sorts coming down. So it's either a valve cover that's leaking or maybe like the O-ring around the distributor. This is pretty grimy. However, all of the lower control arms look like they have been replaced. All of the bushings everywhere look like they've been done. So that's a good thing. It does look like it's still on stock brakes. Aaron did include a like Type R brake conversion for this car, so I'm gonna be doing that in the future. And you can see there is a little bit of rust in areas around here. Again, some oxidization. This is a Northern California car, so who knows, you know, it may have seen a little bit of the seasons, not like an Arizona car where it's like fully dry climate. But look at this, people. Fuel lines, mint. Underbody, great. And we do have a Tanabe medallion exhaust system. I also really love this system. You can see dual resonated, nice big muffler, gonna keep things quiet, which is important for me. In the back here, you can see there's been a bunch of stuff done to the suspension. KW coilovers. These are Type R rear lower control arms to fit the sway bar. You can see a Progress sway bar. Most of the CX Civics, or I should say all of them, did not come with a rear sway bar. So this is a bonus. This has already been installed, which is nice. The one thing I did notice is this bushing here is pretty old and cracked, so I will need to do that one. So that in a nutshell is my 93 Honda Civic. I'd love to take you for a test drive in this, but our roads have been salted. The salt lord or salt bay has come and dumped all of this, and I can't risk driving my pristine California car and potentially infect it with this, the cancer, the worst stuff for any car guy. We can't do that, so sadly you guys aren't going to get a road test. Instead, let's start this thing up because my car does run DP. There you go.
Squeal there. Sounds
Listen
good,
to
man.
that little B motor run there. Listen to that exhaust. Like I said, so quiet. Give this thing a couple little revs here.
valve adjustment.
I can hear it, DP. That's what I was just gonna say. Little bit of ticking. This engine hasn't been running a while. So you know what else we should do? Because we're gonna boost this thing, let's do a compression test on it. All right, that's good. And we're just about 195 PSI, so that is a good sign. 200 is a very healthy motor. All right, that's good. So this one's just about 190-ish. Okay, this one is at about 185. All right, and this one just barely made it to 180 there. So we do have a small discrepancy. You know, this one was at 195, this one being 180, so 15 PSI. And of course, we did have to check our Acura Integra manual here, just in case. The maximum variation they show is actually 28 PSI in between it. They show 199 as like the top, the best limit that you should be at. So we are well within spec. And worst case, if this motor does go, the beauty of the B18B is, from a turbocharged standpoint, if something does let go, these motors are like $500, very easy to replace. So that is it for the Civic, everybody. We've got ourselves a runner here. However, that EF isn't running, so let's jump over and see if we can get that thing started up.
All right, guys, let's try to figure out why this thing isn't running. But before we do that, why don't we just turn the key and see if it's magically fixed itself? Because Hondas are so good, sometimes they do that. So let me jump in there and we'll give it a try. Oh, wow. There's literally no power on the dash. This thing is fully dead. From the data on here, this thing is either 13 years old or 3 years old, but let me put the positive to the positive and the negative to the negative, and we'll see that it is very low.
Ooh, that is a dead battery, my man.
And I should clarify, we were able to crank the engine over and not start it while we were at Vibrant. So the reason it's not starting isn't the battery, but obviously we need a working battery to fire the starter. So let's swap a new one in right now. And here it is, our new battery from Pro Series. This is their XD AGM. For those of you who don't know what an AGM is, it's basically like a sealed lead acid battery, so it can't spill. And these XD series batteries are super heavy duty. By the way, these little like felt, I don't know, like pads were on the terminals on the other battery. Is this a thing? Is this like a Honda thing?
DP, that's an OEM thing.
I've never seen this before, but I've only ever bought like old worn out Hondas that someone has thrown these out with on the original battery. So we'll put those little guys on there, and kudos to the Bryans in Arizona for having this stuff in here. Anyway, I should also mention these Pro Series XD batteries have higher cold cranking amps than like your standard replacement battery. This one's rated to 500, that old one 450. And they have full framing on both terminals here so that you won't have power draws if you have like an exposed wire in the engine bay that's drawing power a bit. We've got beeping, we've got lights on the dash. That means it's time to try turning this thing over. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, you can...
It's a battery issue? We thought for sure it was something mechanical because we tried booster packs and everything at Vibrant, but Pro Series HD battery fixes everything. However, we did notice when we were looking around that the timing belt is actually very loose on this car. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but it's moving around a lot. And this car doesn't make any power. When we did drive it on the street once, it felt like it made like what, 20 or 30 horsepower feet?
It was like quarter throttle and full throttle. There was no difference.
Right. So we're thinking maybe it's skipped a tooth, or it's just so detensioned that it's, you know, moving around so much. It's got to be a timing issue, we think. And here you can see how much play or you know, movement in the belt there is. I've done lots of D series and B series timing belts in my day, and this is way too loose, like twice as much slack as there should be. And the other side has slack in it too, when the other side should be very tight. So the tensioner is clearly like either not tightened down properly or has maybe failed in some way, but so maybe it skipped a tooth or two, and that's why it's not making any power. That's, you know, that would cause it to be way down on power. So if we want to get this thing like back to optimum, we should really fix this problem. But the question is, do we really care at this point, BT?
Well, we're pulling the motor, DP, so maybe we don't.
Well, since it runs, why don't we fire it up again and give you guys a proper exhaust clip. Wow, that actually sounds really good. It's got a nice deep tone to it. There's zero rasp. I'm actually quite surprised how quiet it is. Obviously with that little engine not making a lot of power, it's not gonna be all that noisy. So we won't really know what it's gonna sound like until we put a proper high revving VTEC motor in there. Obviously we're not gonna take this car for a road test, and frankly it wouldn't be very exciting because this motor's not making any power anyway. So we are gonna wrap the episode here, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. And thank you Continental Tire for sponsoring this whole series. We're really excited to get these cars built and out on the street and out on the racetrack on those tires. And as far as what is happening in the next episode, well, we're diving right in on this car. We're gonna pull out this D15 and we're gonna start to assemble the engine that's going in there. And really, there's only two choices, aren't there? There's K-Series or B-Series. So let us know in the comments below which one you think we're going with. And in the next episode, you will find out. So thanks again for watching, everyone, and we'll see you very soon.